What's up with y'all, man? This is LAFCO.TV. Your man James Wade in full effect. Got my M in the air. Metamorphosis is always happening. You're live in the LAFCO van right now. We headed over to a secret location. We're gonna do a little chopping, do a little filming, a little interviewing, and we're gonna be back on the road. We're gonna keep it moving. So stay tuned. We'll be right back at you.
Hey, so we are taking our second interview, and we haven't even left LA yet. We've just pulled up to Oliver Stone's editing studio, and we're gonna ask him a few questions about art and politics. Let's go. So we all know Oliver Stone for Platoon, Salvador, JFK, World Trade Center that just came out. All his films are political. And so we're gonna ask him about what his thoughts are and why he chose to be an artist, and how his art, he hopes to affect change with his art. These are support vehicles.
What's going on?
I don't know. Have you seen the pimp man? So the first artist we met was a guy named Robbie Canal. Have you heard of him?
No.
He does all these, have you seen the grotesque kind of caricatures of Bush and of Rumsfeld, and it says read my apocalypse, and it has George Bush. But these are the three positive figures he's done, and he did it right after September 11th, saying, as a reminder of what we should be thinking about. He says Gandhi's watching us. He's waiting. Dalai Lama's waiting for us to get hip, and he's still dreaming. And so, this is the message that we're bringing on our trip that we're leaving today to go to New Orleans, then up the Mississippi to Chicago, and then to Brooklyn.
It's a wonderful quixotic adventure.
What do you think about underground
Don
filmmakers doing stuff on shoestring budgets? And
I think you're tilting at windmills. It's good. You're romantic about it. You're trying to change things by doing pure actions. In an impure world, it's a beautiful thing. Sometimes it connects, but mostly it doesn't. Cindy Sherman is in Texas marching on a road and occupying space like Gandhi did, saying, "I'm here." People do all these things, and sometimes they work, and sometimes.
Do you think there's value in doing art that few people are going to see but is strong in its message? Or do you think it's better to aim for just the largest possible audience?
It depends on your strengths. If your strength is as a performance artist, if you're a Christo, probably the solitary action, the solitary realizer that can achieve something like this. I really do think of Gandhi when you talk about that guy, Mandela. And you're out there, it takes eccentricity and strength. But I come from a tradition where when I went to film school in 1969 and 70, when I was at the time, at the beginning, when I saw a film like Z by Costa Gavras or Battle of Algiers by de Corvo, those films energized me to believe that, wow, we can make political movies in an entertaining and exciting that would fit inside the conventional movie narrative tradition, and that is what excited me.
And do you think you've succeeded? Do you think you've succeeded in raising awareness about the causes that you've wanted to? Do you think that an artist can make a difference in the world?
Yeah, I think I have to some degree.
What do you see as
my 3 anti-war films prevented Iraq, as you can see, and my Kennedy piece certainly. A lot of young people saw it and started to think differently about things, to try to examine the nature of reality, question things, question authority, question the official story. Not cynically, but skeptically.
Right.
It's a difference. And then I think that Nixon, for those who care to really look at it, is an interesting study in psychology and life, politics. Politics to me is not a different subject. It's not a dry, separate. Politics is part of what you and I are doing now.
Yeah.
It is a political discussion in a way.
Right.
Politics is part of life.
Any words of wisdom for us as we go out? I've never traveled in a lot of the middle of America. What we should look for, or what we should be asking people, or what?
Well, I'd be careful about rednecks and getting fucked up the ass and stuff like that. But I wouldn't go. You remember Easy Rider when that came out? Was a very political movie in 1969 And in the South, they loved the ending because the 2 hippies got shot. So there was a happy ending for them. Remember that. So don't be stupid. Don't provoke people unnecessarily. You're driving into their town. You're going to change their customs. They're not going to relate to a lot. A lot of people aren't going to understand what that means.
Right.
I don't think of much of America as that educated.
Right.
I mean, television keeps you pretty much a captive
Right.
audience here. American Idol,
Do you see yourself as an educator in your films?
in a way, partly, sure.
Let's
Part
talk
of
for
responsibility. What I'm saying to you is, you got to be. It's use skillful means
Yeah.
to get your message across, and avoid some of the cities.
Yeah. And can you say a few words about your new film? He's just come out with World Trade Center a couple of days ago. It's the most controversial and in a way the least political of your films. Or do you see it as very political? What's your
I
message
never made it
politically
that
in
way.
that?
I did the story about 5 people, their wives.
Yeah, it's very
It
personal.
was
isn't
very inside there, and they were not political people. But
Right.
the Marine is a political person in the sense that he talks about going to war.
Right.
And he does go to war, and he actually re-enlisted. So I think the end of the movie, if you feel it and you go through the process, you ask yourself, after you, in a sense, you renew the feelings of that day, but you have to ask yourself after it's over is what happened between then and now.
Right.
And I think that is a political question, you see. Because if you remember what you were feeling on September 12th, and you think about what's happened now, and I think most people do, they have
Absolutely.
to start to ask more questions.
Right.
That's all. I'm not saying our movie did anything beyond that, but we did Platoon in the same spirit. We went into what I saw as the truth of my experience there, and we just showed men as they were,
Right.
without politics.
Right.
And that makes people think.
Right.
All great drama is the interaction of the heart.
And so, what are your thoughts on the reaction of Americans to September 11th? Besides
movie or-
to the actual event, like it seems to me that we've gone in a
Well,
wildly wrong direction. I don't know if that's
It
something.
polarized the country, and it's sad because I think there could have been. We missed the beat. We missed the boat. There was a course of action. I would call it smart vengeance, and I
Right.
don't think we proceeded smartly. We made it into a big deal and politicized it, and it lost its focus.
Right. And what do you think we should have learned? And what do you think your film is teaching people about what one can learn?
Well, my
from the
film's not
experience?
about that. You're talking about the 5 years since then. I'm saying the film is the beginning of a process.
Right.
The beginning of a process of coming to terms with our feelings on that day,
Right.
which we didn't do. I think a lot of people are
Yeah.
in danger of forgetting it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially your generation.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
All right, babe.
Great.
Have a good trip. Any suggestions? We got it, right?
That's great. That's great.
So if
Thank
you
you so
shoot
much.
my back, I don't know.
He's getting the
He was
B-roll.
sneaking around.
He's got the good stuff.